Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Jenny Gilruth went to a conference with all the teachers. She being the education secretary, you'd think that would be right up her street, especially as she herself used to be a teacher. I take it she couldn't have been a very good one, though. However, the teachers who were at the conference felt very, very underwhelmed. Disappointed even. Some of them thought it was an appalling performance. She just doesn't get it. She doesn't understand the problems in the profession. And she sat there and she did these things. She made her opening remarks, and many felt that she's lost this opportunity to stand in front of before them, and earn some sort of goodwill from the teaching profession. But that isn't really what happened. She gave this speech. She discussed some of the, should we say, the challenges that are in the Scottish education system. That's including reforms that they need to do. They've got to reduce stress and the workload and things like that, and protecting jobs as well, with the likes of Glasgow going to be firing something like 340 teachers. And it won't stop there. It'll be all up and down the entire country. So teachers, of course, are very, very stressed. They're massively overworked because there's not enough of them. They can't get people in to do the job. And even if someone was minded to do it, they think, why should I do it and earn less money because of the tax situation than if I go to England? And of course, there's other things like head teachers are virtually incapable of excluding students who cause problems. And so a lot of students are getting very physical or even sexually physical with teachers. And then the teachers complain and those pupils aren't thrown out of the school. So the teacher has to go back into a classroom with someone who's done something to them. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that is behoven upon the school or the authority as a matter of health and safety. And so that teacher can quite literally go home with the problem, mention the problem, go home, sit on full pay until that health and safety problem has been solved. And if that involves having to change the rules to make sure that these problem pupils are thrown out, so be it. But you cannot have the situation where you are expected to go back into a room with someone who has either harmed you or sexually abused you. These are the sort of problems that are going on in schools. And Jenny Gilruth sat in that auditorium and did nothing, said nothing, and offered absolutely no solutions whatsoever. Is it any wonder schools are failing? Is it any wonder the education system in Scotland is falling apart, and where it is now sitting in league tables, the PISA league table, below third world countries? Anyway, these teachers were there. They've got all these problems, as we know. And then they were asked, what did they think? And they were saying that there was no engagement by her. There was almost a physical sigh in the room as she started talking, because she just wasn't addressing any of the issues. She was merely saying how great the SNP are, how great she is, how she's very proud of them all, blah, blah, blah. All puffery, all smoke and mirrors, no acceptance of the problems caused by the SNP, and is all her responsibility to sort out. She isn't sorting it out. It was as though that she thought that she was at some kind of party event rather than a serious meeting to try and address and sort the issues. And you'd think with her being a teacher, she'd be aware of these problems, but she seems to be living somewhere in cloud cuckoo land, well away from all this. And she had a chance of literally changing everything in the education system by standing there in front of these people. These are serious people. And standing there and telling them she gets the problem, she understands the problems, and she's going to do this and this and this to try and sort these problems out. Fight for their corner. And it was nothing like that. It was nothing at all helpful. There was no offers of help. There was no plan of attack. There was absolutely nothing laid out that was going to be music to the ears of the teachers in the room. It was Jenny Gilruth giving effectively just a party political broadcast on behalf of the Jenny Gilruth party. Look at me, aren't I brilliant? Well, no, Jenny, you're not. You're like so many of your colleagues. You're completely incapable of understanding what the problems are. You have no desire to sort those problems. And for some strange reason, you have got no skills at actually engaging with people. We all know that the SNP is filled with psychopaths and sociopaths, but that's never clearer when you see them lacking the talent and the ability to engage and sort these problems out. Now, those teachers, all they want is help, understanding, and above all, answers. And Jenny Gilruth gave them none of that. There was no help whatsoever. And there's enough talk going on. And now, if they don't get these things sorted, it wouldn't surprise me if the teachers vote to strike, not necessarily for money, but for a change of operations. They want pupils to be thrown out of schools when they do these things. They don't want to have to walk into a classroom where people who've abused them are standing there smirking at them, knowing that there is nothing they can do. And that, sadly, is the way of the world. And it's why schools in Scotland are struggling. It's why so many people in Scotland who become teachers leave either permanently the profession or leave Scotland and go work south of the border. And it isn't going to stop anytime soon. So it's up to Jenny Gilruth. It's up to you. You have got to sort this out, and you've got to sort it out quickly before every school in Scotland is forced to close. Now, on a side note, according to the closing of the schools, this is a slightly different thing, but it is related. Caithness and Sutherland, isn't it? It's Sutherland, I think, or Caithness, is now so depopulated that most of the schools, particularly primary schools, are looking to be closed because there aren't enough children in them to warrant them being and remaining open. The depopulation, the clearing of the Highlands, it's the modern clearing, because the services are so bad, you're so far from hospitals, the hospitals you have got are incapable of dealing with it, and so people necessary moving to larger towns and cities simply to make sure that elderly relatives or younger children have got access to medication, access to schools, access to services that are no longer being met and catered for in the likes of Inverness, Caithness and Sutherland. Depopulating the Highland clearances all over again. What a wonderful, wonderful thing to do, but this time done by the SNP. Can't blame Westminster for this one. There we go. Thank you very much for listening there. Went on a bit longer than I thought, but it annoys me. And shit, Jenny Gilruth annoys me. Just look at the face in that thumbnail. God, it's one of those you could just happily punch sometimes. I'm not saying that. I'm not advocating violence to women, but, you can see why. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.